Languages are very an artifact of statistics. That's what language is. It wraps things in such a way that you can summarize and provide insights. So there's a man there, a white man, who is a linguist, a Bantu linguist, and then he's presenting. And as he presents, he says, the Venda language is the most connected amongst language. In fact, it is the root language in the Bantu languages, Venda. But you know that the pecking order in South Africa has always been the Zulu, and the Venda have been at the bottom.
Correct.
So we have been living that kind of life where people who are Venda would not say they are Venda openly. I haven't seen it in the statistics of the censuses. I tried to see whether this has permeated there as well. So then I've just presented results by language group. And I followed that now, and the evidence is very clear. That the Venda are the most achieving as a population group.
Academically?
In terms of progression ratios, they're much higher than any of the Bantu, the Sotho, and the Zulu.
This is academic and economic.
It's if you think about people who have progressed, they are the highest amongst the Bantu. The Bantu. They come after the whites immediately, and the issue is about the ability of their language across. And again, it goes back to culture. That the Venda as a language, it's not surprising that Marwala is the president or principal of the UN university. So the current census data, the previous censuses, when I analyze them by language, Venda comes tops.
You're talking of adaptability.
No.
Once you learn Venda.
Once you speak Venda.
Okay.
The Venda speaker doesn't have a problem in speaking Nguni, in Shona, in Sotho.
Yes.
And when language captures your precepts and your perceptions and everything, so they have a cross-cutting view of life.
Because of that foundation.
Because of that foundation, of that language foundation. So
someone else would interpret what you're saying as we should be teaching all South Africans, regardless of race, Venda as a base language because it assists them in maybe cognitive reasoning or whatever the case may be.
I would say so. I would recommend that.
And this is coming from a Sotho man, because before people think you're biased.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that shows, there was this Venda guy in my office who was running the human resources capacity building, Professor Ntange. So, we ran this program of recruiting people as interns. And, so I received them, 50, 100 of them. So I asked each one to introduce themselves by name. And where have they studied? And so, yeah. Now I see this guy's from Limpopo and the Venda, and I have this person who is saying, so I go back to my office. I say, hey man, this Venda man, no.
Keeps hiring his own people.
His own people.
Nepotism.
But when these guys start, see, hey, there's a difference here. Then when you see this in the general Venda population, you then understand. Yes. So for me, a compulsory language based on this would be Venda, because then it allows you to cut across all our languages.
One of the things we don't speak about, so I believe that language is the most powerful force on the planet, personally. And I could go on a 30 to 1 hour rant explaining why, because I sometimes say things like language is God. Some people say spelling, witchcraft spelling, the power of what you do with language. And some people have even spoken about how language can help you understand maths.
Absolutely.
Easier. I mean, the way we count, the way the Chinese count in Mandarin helps them. The way they put numbers together versus...
Yes, yeah.
We're not speaking enough. We speak about coding today, that children should be learning to code, which is a language. But we're not speaking about language in its usefulness. Because even when I thought of learning Swahili, I came to realize that Swahili for the African continent is like learning isiZulu in South Africa. It's good to connect with the people, but it's not commercial. Commercially, you're speaking English, French, maybe Arabic. And just those conversations to figure out. So I'm fascinated by what you're saying.